Borneo is the third biggest island in the world, covering 747,000 square kilometers. It comprises of 3 countries, Sabah and Sarawak, Malaysia, as well as Brunei on the north side and Kalimantan, Indonesia on the south. The jungles of Borneo are rich with their endemic fauna and flora. Sabah, Malaysia, or the land below the wind, located at the northern part of Borneo, is the home to mammals such as Bornean pygmy elephant, orangutan, Sumatran rhinoceros, all of which are endangered. In the early 1950s, about 85% of Sabah was under some form of natural forest cover. By 2000, only about 58% remain. In order to create employment and generate income for the state, Sabah also set up a land use policy, which prioritized planting of commercial crops such as oil palm and cocoa. Forest clearing and agricultural crop cultivation has been the main agent for deforestation in the recent years. The unsustainable logging practices in the past have significantly affected the forest condition in Sabah. These commercial forest reserves need long periods to regenerate, with several decades needed before they can be harvested again. Then, Sabah's forests also gave way to industrial tree plantations and monoculture for the production of soft wood to replace the heavily damaged forest. All these factors led to the fragmentation of elephant, orangutan, and rhinoceros habitat. Impacts on the condition of the forests have been enormous, which leads to shrinking forests that brought wildlife, especially big mammals like elephants, into more frequent contact with people, increasing human-wildlife conflicts. In degraded forest and hill ranges, where natural fruiting is infrequent and seasonal, orangutan populations may not be able to survive. Fragmentation of the rhinoceros population into several groups, and the several remaining are so isolated that they rarely or never meet to breed. Despite these ongoing processes, there remains hope, as Borneo still has one of the largest contiguous areas of habitat for key species in Asia. Borneo pygmy elephants, or Elephas maximus borneensis, is the world's smallest known subspecies of elephants. Concentrated in Sabah, particularly floodplains, tributaries, and the upper catchment of the Kinabatangan and Sagama River. A few individuals reign into East Kalimantan, Indonesia. The elephants usually travel in small, female-led groups of around 8 individuals, which periodically merge with larger groups in the more open feeding grounds, particularly on riverbanks. Males become solitary for much of the time after sexual maturity, but they may travel in groups of 2 or 3 and follow the female-led herds from time to time for mating. WWF Borneo Species Program works on saving the Bornean pygmy elephant by teaming up with the Sabah Wildlife Department to identify and secure ecological corridors for the annual movements of elephants. In 2005, the Elephant Satellite Tracking Program in Sabah began to study this movement in Sabah's heart of Borneo Forest and Lower Kinabatangan River region. It was soon discovered that the elephants preferred lowland forest as their main habitat and moved only along areas with water sources. The Asian elephant is the largest forest herbivore in Asia. One adult can eat up to 150 kilograms of vegetation per day, feeding mostly on species of palms, grasses, and wild bananas. They also require supplementary minerals which they receive from salt licks or clay-rich soils. So far, based on WWF's research in the field, more than 160 species of plants are consumed by the elephants in Borneo. The primary threat to these elephants is the loss of continuous lowland and valley forests. Mammals of their size require large feeding grounds and viable breeding populations with suitable male-to-female ratios. Shrinking forests have also brought the elephants into more frequent contact with people, increasing human-elephant conflict in this region. The large blocks of forest they require are being fragmented by development of forest areas and conversion of natural forest to commercial plantations. Human disturbances within forests such as logging, increased agriculture, building of palm oil mills with associated settlements, and hunting are rapidly breaking up contact between subpopulations, as well as minimizing the areas of forest available for each small group to live and feed on. In order to save the Borneo pygmy elephant, it is important to ensure that the human-elephant conflict incident could be minimized. The key to reduce the human-elephant conflict in Borneo is, first and foremost, to encourage the adoption of sound land use strategies and proper land use planning by the government, land developers, and local communities. This means that the forest habitat connectivity is very important to ensure the survival of this species. Forest connectivity is also important in order to ensure the survival of orangutan in Borneo. Asia's only great ape, the orangutan, or man of the forest, is found only on the islands of Borneo and Sumatra. Globally classified as endangered, orangutans in Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak are probably best classed as vulnerable. The Kinabatangan Sagama orangutan population represents the largest orangutan population in Malaysia and arguably the most secure orangutan population in the world. Orangutan is an endangered species in Borneo. In Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak, the species is best classed as vulnerable because the rate of orangutan habitat loss has fallen off to a very low level in recent years. There is almost no hunting of this species, and most of the remaining populations occur in forests to be retained as protected areas or under natural forest management for timber production. An understanding of three main features of the biology of the orangutan can quickly help us to see why the orangutan has become endangered with extinction, and why, in the more stable conditions of Sabah and Sarawak, it remains vulnerable. Firstly, orangutans can survive only in extensive natural forests, and only some forests, mainly in lowlands and swamps. Secondly, orangutans require high-quality foods and a variety of fruits. In regions where natural fruiting is infrequent and seasonal, such as hill ranges, orangutan populations may not be able to survive, even where there is no hunting or disease. Orangutans can and do eat young leaves and bark plants, but these are not their main foods. They cannot survive for long without fruits. Thirdly, orangutans grow slowly and breed very slowly. It is thought that the average wild female orangutan successfully bears only about 3 young during her lifetime, even under optimum circumstances. This means that any kind of pressure which slows natural breeding rate or raises death rate has an enormous impact on the survival of the population. Such pressures may be hunting or disease such as malaria, but the most severe pressure may be El Niño droughts. Some of the orangutan population in the Kinabatangan Sagama area is already isolated due to forest degradation and the biological barrier that is the Sagama River. Previous logging activities and forest fires in some of this forest have partly damaged the forest structure. In the near future, the orangutan population in this area may decline due to poor habitat and low carrying capacity. However, the present government of Sabah has made a commitment to maintain orangutan forest habitat in Ulu Sugama Malua Forest Reserve under natural forest management. Under this management, there may not be plans to convert the area into plantations, but implement forest restoration activities.